what's a mountain, but like what do you do?
Shred the gnar.
Yeah.
Gnar.
Yeah. It's like
shred the gnar. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bikes and Bourbon. I'm Russ from Path Less Pedaled.
And I am Toffer from Pedal Missoula.
And like always, we're gonna taste some bourbon. Taste is the key word. Not get drunk, but taste and like
Taste
our
and enjoy.
Yeah, and enjoy.
Savor.
And talk bikes. But first, the bourbon. You picked up something very special today.
Yeah, this has been on my mind for a little while, just because I heard the story of this bourbon, and
being English majors, we're suckers for stories.
The storytelling, the market. I mean, the marketing. I mean, let's be real. Like, let's be transparent. The marketing totally got me. But it's the Jefferson's Ocean, and Jefferson's Ocean. What makes the story behind it? So this is and there even comes like with a little tag that lets me know this is the 13th voyage.
Lucky number.
Yeah. I should hold it upside down for us cyclists. And so when they age it, they put the barrels on a boat.
Wow.
And they send the boat. It's like, I think they pay to have the barrels on like a boat that's already going around the world. It's not like they are having some private, the bourbon is not getting like a private tour of the world. Yeah.
So instead of like just like aging in like a barn house or barrel house, it gets
wherever. And I guess I don't know, are those always climate controlled? Or are
no,
they just...
I think they're like what happened, like that picture that you've seen of that one barrel house that fell in Kentucky.
Right.
I mean, they account for like the summer because like the wood will swell, suck up the bourbon and spit it back out.
Right.
So there's something about that process.
Right. And so this gets kind of is like amplifying the temperatures, because obviously the boat is going all the way around the world, and so like as it travels, it's crisscrossing, so it's like getting different seasons more frequently. You know, I mean, so it's getting, fluctuations. I think the salt air, I think they also say, and then just the general like
gets agitated.
Yeah, and like just the movement of a boat. It's not just sitting for 10 years or 7 years or whatever. It's being
it's seeing places, meeting people. It goes to how many continents? Like
five
continents, and crosses the equator
4 times. Wow. And there's like 30 ports that they stop at. I mean, and you get a little story. Like they give you like a narrative of log. This. Yeah, it's like ship's log, and it gives you like what happened over the time that your voyage.
Really?
Yeah, like the whole thing is like it's like.
Wow.
It had been abnormally cold for late November.
Wow.
They do a lot of stuff to like make the story. I mean, it's not a story. It actually happened to the bourbon.
Right.
I feel like I'm becoming a whiskey snob when I can, or at least I'm becoming the whiskey snob that tries to convince himself that like the expensive thing is
better.
Is that just my brain tricking me into thinking that like Jefferson's knows how to make bourbon, and they can do silly stuff like sending it off on a boat, like.
But I feel like this is legitimately good. I mean, it's kind of like when we were talking about, when I was testing bikes, like testing the Breadwinner. It's like, did I like it more because I knew it was, hand built and it was more expensive?
Or is it that there's actually nicer steel tubing being used?
Yeah, there's like innate qualities in the thing itself that make it better.
the builder knows geometries and knows how to like make everything, the bike work together as a whole.
When I was testing the Breadwinner, I'd hop on my commuter bike and go back and forth just to find the control. And I feel like we did that, when we did the tasting, they had some kind of lower end bourbons, maybe not so good. And the nice ones really stood out. Yeah. Like it was like night and day. And I feel like this is, clearly it stands on its own. It's pretty like smooth, and I get, there's the sweetness to it, but also a nice floral kind of note. It's
weird to think like, once again, it is kind of like, it has a savorier side to it.
Yeah.
And I want to be like, is that the salt air
from the ocean?
From the ocean, like.
I feel like there's a slightly savory note, even though I'm trying to like not.
But I mean, that should be there. I mean, right? I mean, I think that that's something that you can have definitely sweet notes, and like the dried fruit and things are it's a common tasting note, but something it's nice. I mean, I don't know if it's just like a woodsier quality that's kind of coming out. But once again, I mean, it's often like these things playing off each other. Right. So it's not just like which makes it a nice bourbon.
So today we're going to talk
Bikes.
about bike shop.
Yeah, I mean, what really I think spurred us to talk about this was we love Alter Cycles. You've been there recently. I met those folks about a year ago.
Right.
They're down the street from us here from Missoula. You go down to Bozeman. Steve had a nice kind of, one of the co-owners of Alter had a post on Instagram that then John from the Radivist kind of put on his side, and it was a nice post about bike shops, and maybe not what you always think when you think of like what we've been talking about, the third place, third space.
It was an interesting take on it.
So we'll talk,
So Steve said, like we've talked about a lot on the show, is that a bike shop can't just sell things. Like it's got to offer more.
Right.
And there's this idea being bandied about like bikes being a third space, and Steve brings up the point that yes, that's important to have a bike shop as a community meeting place, but it's got to be more than just a place where people drink beer, get drunk, use your Wi-Fi,
drink coffee.
Drink coffee.
If they're doing their coffee shop thing, they're not interacting with people. They're not. That's not a community.
Yeah. So in like having like a coffee shop or having a bar in of itself doesn't necessarily. I mean, it's got like the physical characteristics of the third space, but not like the community aspect.
And it helps facilitate. I mean, and it can help you facilitate those things easily, because if people are stopped drinking coffee, they might spend a little bit more time looking at the bikes, or it offers another inflection point to talk about. When you go up to somebody, the first thing isn't like, "Hey, what bike are you into?" But it's like, "Well, what did you order?" And so then you can have maybe.
And also just having that space, like if a shop wants to do programming of some sort, they don't have to, like move a bunch of stuff out of the way, because there is like a natural space.
That's what's interesting about Alter is that, I mean, their shop space is like really small.
It's
tiny. So I mean, when you're when you're in the shop, you're kind of like in the service area. Like there's no way around that. But Steve and Mason have kind of at least their retail personalities are nice enough that they're not like you don't feel like you're like. Sometimes I think in bike shops, or I guess any place where you're like trying to do your job, like they're working on bikes, they're wrenching, like they're trying to fix somebody's bike. They said it would be ready by 5, and like they got to get it done. And they don't need somebody just like wandering in.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean,
and when you wander into their space, you like literally wander into where they're trying to like wrench on that bike. But they do a really good job of like, what do you need? How can I help you? Making you feel
not making you feel like, yes, you are interrupting their work, but they're still willing to talk to you, which is hard. Like I feel like, I've been, many bike shops where you feel like you're intruding, and you're like, I just wanted to get this thing. So it does, I feel like, take very kind of specific personalities to pull it off well. But beyond like the just, like I think the point of his Instagram post was, there is like the third space with the cafe and all that stuff. But there's also like the aspect of community building that they're doing with their group rides.
I mean, that's the thing, is that, despite the fact that, on their happy hour, there's like beer available. It's not like people there, it's not like they're going for the beer, or I mean, the beer is just kind of like a nice thing, and it's like a local brewery. So people are like supporting, kind of, they're feeling like the local community's involved, like. But then it's just like they're not. I don't know. Kids are there. There's like people, like parents. It's not like it's just like. Even though I think they sell a lot of mountain bikes. It's in Bozeman, so there's a lot of awesome mountain biking and gravel riding. But it doesn't feel. I mean, there's families that show up. It doesn't feel like it's like you got to be there with your bros, drinking beer. I don't. Like there's not. It doesn't have that vibe. Like when you go there, or they're. I love it. Also, they call it. I think this is because Steve is from Minnesota. It's called the Supper Club Shred.
Nice.
And so, because that's a very upper Midwest thing to me. The Supper Club. So
we should have a supple club something.
And they like, it's just like a nice. There's like they grill out at the trailhead after
cool.
after a ride. It's just fun to like that. It's about the ride, and it's about experiencing different trails and sharing the trail network that's around Bozeman, and helping people explore that. But it's also just about like at the end of a ride. It's not like everybody just goes their own way and is like, cool, we what's a mountain bike? Like, what do you do?
Shred the gnar.
Yeah.
Gnar.
Yeah. It's like
shred the gnar.
After you do that, you then go and like grill some food.
Right.
And you enjoy hanging out and just talking to each other. And you're like, hey, what's going on? It's like, how's your dog? It's like, oh,
yeah,
the dog's doing good, or like whatever's going on in your life. You like get to talk and like catch up, and I mean, it's nice to do that over the bike sometimes.
Right.
But it's also nice to just be able to like hang out after riding and have like a beer and have some grillables. So both those things, it's like, yeah, it's like this really interesting mixture. Them providing like not just bike opportunities, but like
right.
the social opportunities.
Right.
I mean, it's a good thing to point out that like, just because you have beer doesn't mean people will come to you.
Right.
Or
that would necessarily create the kind of community that you want.
Right.
You know, they just create people drinking beer sometimes.
Yeah. Or coffee. Like,
yeah.
I mean, but then also I think you want that, because I mean, I can remember people going into Angry Catfish because it was kind of like the neighborhood coffee shop too. There wasn't, within a few blocks, like that was where you could go in and order any type of drink you wanted. So I mean, there were people that would go in and just get coffee, but it's like, that was also nice, because then you are also just getting some like neighborhood vibes going on, and it was like, everyone felt like, it just felt like a nice scene, because there people were being supportive. Mm-hmm. But also maybe like, and yeah, it just made people not like go into their like bike tribe mode and be like, I'm doing this thing. It was like, no, like.
So the whole idea of community building and bike shops, third space, nuanced.
Well, you know, and one of the other things that it's also been interesting to see, like, I mean, you can diversify coffee, beer, whatever, but it's also like the ways in which you help people access bike stuff.
Right.
And that was another thing that we've like kind of been seeing. I think you did like a Topanga Creek visit, and they aren't just about like bikes only. No, we're just going to sell you a carbon or a steel thing.
The cool thing about Topanga Creek is like they call themselves like an outpost. So they kind of, you know, it's almost like this outfitter mentality, rather than, let's say, a traditional bike shop model is like, you know, here's your product that you just bought, you know, bye. You know, it's like, you know, and it's, and we're seeing this more and more with bike shop. It's like they'll sell you a bike or the bike gear, but they'll also help facilitate the experience afterwards. Right. So you pointed out 718.
Yeah, 718 Cyclery is in Brooklyn, and I just noticed like they had started posting on, I think on Instagram, I saw that they were just having some like bag, kind of like you can demo a bike or rent a bike, and you could demo a bag. Like, so if you were like,
you can go fully outfitted, and then they also offer tours and stuff.
Right, they offer tours, and so it was just kind of like a nice way to think about if you're like wondering what this whole bike packing thing is. Right. And I can see that, I mean, with bike fishing, I could maybe see that people like, oh, I don't know how to fish. Like, I don't know how to fly fish. Right. I don't know what it's like to put my tent on my bike. Like, I put my tent in my car, or I put my tent like in a backpack to go like on a, you know, on a hiking trip. But it's like
foot packing.
Yeah. But like, if you're trying to do that on your bike and you've never done it before, like that can be intimidating, and you might not want to buy.
And expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you add up all the bags, that's like a small fortune. Plus, like, you know, all the sleeping bags, the small sleeping bags that fit in those small bags. Right. So it's a big like financial barrier to entry if you're just testing it out. Right. So
it's cool to see like some places offering opportunities to rent or demo, and I mean I've seen All City with like I think with the Grill Monsoons, I've seen on some different bike shops that they're sending around like a fleet of demo bikes so that people can like try out the Gorilla Monsoon. Right. And I think but I've noticed that they've been doing it with bike shops that are leading kind of overnights. Right. You know, so that's like a cool thing once again, that like there's maybe this new wheel size, this new type of geometry that people aren't always like, what is the benefit when you hear that the road cyclists tell you that they've been riding on gravel for forever? Right. Why should I switch to a Gorilla Monsoon? It's like, well, hey, try it out for like this bike overnight to see how all your stuff fits on it, and you might realize that it is worth switching, or you're like, hey, it's not. Yeah. You like got to try out something new.
Yeah, I totally appreciate like the bike demo. And that's kind of like how I treat the bike reviews. It's like I understand like not everyone gets the chance to ride these bikes. Right. And their only experience with the bike is, you know, the one-page marketing press release from the brand saying, you know, how laterally stiff, vertically compliant it is, like, you know, or whatever. And that doesn't really translate into necessarily how like the bike feels or like what other like qualitative things?
Well, there's a lot of generic when I mean like a generic review, there can kind of be some like this is how it rides, but kind of using some of those like and you're like what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do some of these like vertical compliance mean?
Right.
And I think like when you can get a feel for like your personality or other people that I feel like I trust gear reviews of, it's almost because I know the person's personality.
Right.
So I can kind of like, I might not agree with you,
right.
but at least I know where you're coming from so that I can tell if that bike might be right for me. Like you might hate it, but it's like,
right.
Well, actually for me, that sounds great.
Right.
But like at least I know where you're coming from.
I try to be consistent. Like I feel like people that watch enough reviews know like what my preferences are, and they might not be everybody's preferences, but if they line up with someone's, then they're like, oh, I might like that too. Like for example, some bikes I like, Laura does not like at all.
Right.
Like we have completely.
How do you guys talk to each other still? How do you guys
text? So I can rave about a bike that I tend to like kind of strange bikes or a little bit not like unpredictable, but something surprising.
Yeah.
And Laura really likes like bikes that are they're quick, but definitely like a slight lean towards stability.
Yeah.
Especially on the rough stuff.
Right.
So it's horses for courses.
Right. Yeah, and then but if you know that about somebody, then when you hear a review and you say like, oh, it didn't feel very stable, but it's like, well, that person wants a really stable bike, so maybe that bike would be okay for me because I'm different than them, but I can still value their opinion.
Yeah. One bike we did agree on, like I had Laura, was a Breadwinner.
Oh, that Breadwinner.
I had her hop on it, and it was, I think it struck the right chord of like being lively and stable at the same time.
It's like Jefferson's Ocean, where I think you could give Jefferson's Ocean to a lot of different people who might have different feelings about bourbon, and they like, that's good.
So another bike shop, well, they're actually an outdoor shop that rents out bikes and bike packing gear in Portland, Oregon. Mountain Shop. Okay. I think they were, to my knowledge, they were one of the first like shops that would like send you out fully outkitted. Sure. And everything. They didn't lead tours, but they did have gear you could check out.
I mean, it kind of gets to like a larger retail thing in general, right? Because what's somebody coming to your bike shop for compared to going online? Right. If they can buy. But it's like, well, it's being able to try it out, or it's like the quality of the community when they go in. Like, if your experiences of coffee shops are always that like headphone on, people just working, using it as like an office, that can be a very sterile coffee shop environment compared to coffee shops that, I don't know, I guess coffee shop culture enough now that I'm like getting into this like explanation to know like what design-wise you might do to besides no Wi-Fi. Besides no Wi-Fi, I don't know what you would do to like help limit people from just
all communal seating, just long benches, no individual tables.
Yeah, that people would have to feel the like people getting up and down near them.
So
like,
speaking of which, okay, this kind of on the tangent, but like Amtrak.
What else is this except a tangent?
Right, it's one extended tangent. But Amtrak, if you guys ever get a chance to ride Amtrak sleeper car or have a meal on the dining car, it's all like communal seating. Yeah. Like you get a ticket, you go there, and they're going to sit you with a complete stranger. Like
just wherever there's a seat.
Wherever there's a seat.
For you, yeah.
And that's. Sometimes it's strange, but like actually, like both Laura and I really appreciate it because you get to meet
you're
people
like forced to
completely different walks of life, have polite conversation.
When I worked at a bookstore, it was similar, where people can go. Obviously, with bookstore, people could go on Amazon. So it's like, well, what about this bookstore makes people come in? Right. And you have to. They chose to go with like ferrets and chinchillas. Yeah. And cats. It's another story. That's another like YouTube channel. I think that's also that happens, like you're saying, the nuance. I think that just happens when people think, oh, like how do I improve my space? What Toby said, like in the Wayback Internet machine of like 3 months ago. Right.
That's so long.
But Toby DePass, was talking about on PLP Talk about how the couch is not. I mean. Once again, a couch is only a catalyst if you are engaging people on the couch, and there's something about your shop that makes people want to sit down. I mean, I think actually by having like to switch back over to Alter, the fact that you do walk into their service area,
right,
kind of it breaks down some of those like barriers, the walls that come up in bike shops. I mean,
I did enjoy like in Portland, like Belcolt, you know, the service area had like a low tabletop, so if you wanted, you could drink beer and watch them work on your bike. Yeah. Which I think as a mechanic, I'd be like.
Once again, temperament. You gotta be temperamental.
But you know, when it works, you know, when it works,
yeah,
you know, beautifully, you know, but not, you know, it's hard because it's not it's not cut and dry.
I like it because it also puts like effort, like you have to as the customer not just be like, oh, so oh yeah, you're tightening up. Is that it? Like, is that the right tension there? Are you using, it feels like maybe over tighten that.
Yeah, it's like, do you use a torque wrench?
Yeah. Oh, you're just doing that by feel, eh? Oh, okay. Interesting choice.
We still have some summer left. I'm hoping to do more mountain biking. I don't know if you'd be game to do like
until the smoke comes. Yeah, we got to get it in soon.
We should do a Russ and Topanga mountain biking. It'll be be like the antithesis to like Seth's bike hacks or something.
Well, what people have been asking, you know, if we would ever do this outdoors.
Yeah, we should.
And that's when we'll do it outdoors. Because both of us will need some bourbon at the end of our mountain. I mean.
So I guess we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up. Again, there's a Supple Life giveaway. We're giving away a Silca Tactico pump. Super awesome pump.
Yep. It's too bad you got all that money from them, though,
I know,
to do this giveaway. False. Fake. That's not true.
Not true. Not true at all. In fact, I am paying postage to send it. So I'm actually losing money personally.
So that somebody out there can have an amazing new pump.
Yeah.
Because you had two.
Yeah.
Since you.
Yeah. So they sent to a review, and I was like, you know, I don't need two. It would be fun to give it away, and like it's a good tie-in pump. Yeah. Supple tires.
Yep.
And I made a separate video about it, which 2 people gave a thumbs down. How can you thumbs down a video about getting a free rad pump? I don't know. Internet.
Maybe they like the guesswork of their tire pressure.
Do the contest on Instagram.
It's
details
on Instagram.
There.
Yeah.
And we have a special guest coming next week.
Yep. Daniel Malloy, who is the person behind Tumbleweed Bikes.
He used to work at Riv.
He did, yeah. He used to work at Riv. He has made a couple. I mean, so one of the things like I think I first got like awareness of Tumbleweed was some of the Jay Ritchie films that have come out. So the latest one is El Silencio, and so Pedal Missoula kind of reached out to Daniel, and he wanted to come out here and see what Missoula's about, what the bike fishing out here is like, and we're also going to show the movie, and then he's going to drink some bourbon with us. He's
so next week
he's a fan. He likes bourbon.
Yeah.
He knows about the Supple Life.
So next week we'll have Daniel on the channel probably multiple times on a Bikes X Bourbon.
Because he knows how to fish.
Take him up there, do a little fishing and some other shenanigans. I guess that's.
Oh, do you need more too? Always of the oceans here. The oceans is what I'm calling it now.
I'm just trying to get that sea air. All right.
Yes, we encourage all of you to go for the third pour. That's when the sea air really comes out.
Yeah, the brininess, the R80.
Oh, it took us till the end of the episode to get a pirate reference.
That's pretty good. I thought we'd come out swinging with the pirate ship.
All right. Well.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next time.
Keep this upside down.
Cheers.